Be nice if YouTube had an easier way to manage this stuff. There we go. All right. Live stream. Man. What's up, you guys? All right, I'm trying to look for the comments, so give me a second. There we go. All right. What's up? Dallas in the house. All right. I'm down in H-Town, Houston. There we go. All right. Let me turn this down. Feedback. In Poland. How's the weather over in Poland? $700. Hope so, man. I hope so. It's looking good so far. What did I bench in the 8th grade? I didn't even do anything in the 8th grade. I don't think I even cared about bench in the 8th grade. I didn't start lifting like anything worth even talking about until freshman year, and I was swimming, and we would go to the weight room and I would maybe do like 135. I think we maxed out and I did like 200 and I was like 180 pounds. And I was pretty proud of that. So I didn't really do much in terms of weights until mid-20s. So let's see, what do we got question-wise? What's up, Stefan? I'm gonna move the camera so it doesn't look like I'm reading the comments and not being able to see you guys at the same time. See if that's a little better. All right, let's see. Question. Should I train for strength as a natural? I'm not sure I understand your question. I'm assuming what you're getting to is the difference between training for strength as a natural drug-free athlete versus an enhanced athlete. And there's always a gray area in between as well, but you're gonna find that your recovery enhanced is gonna be greater, but your health risks are also gonna be, I don't know, depending on what you're talking about. I assume you're natural. So what I would do is probably do each lift twice a week and kind of go from there, assess what you can get out of your progress. Let's see. Doing a 9-day deload before the meet, yes. I am basically, Purple Juice 88, what I'm gonna be doing is that Welch's grape juice, or is that, what kind of drink is that? So I'm gonna do my next bench day on Wednesday. So I'm resting for a few more days so that I am nice and ready. I don't have anything that's bothering me right now. Particularly, I think I could probably go in tomorrow and hit the workout, but then I'm left with extra rest that I don't want before the meet. So I would much rather go in with a little too much rest for the last training day and get less rest for the meet if I had to do something. But basically what I'm doing, the strategy is to have equal rest time. So being able to go in on Wednesday will give me the exact same rest time as I had between 661 and 683 and 683 in the meet. So yes, 9 days basically for each one. See, we got, turn on live chat so I can see the questions as they come in, so I don't miss anybody. And if I skip over your question, because I'm pretty much just gonna go down the list, if I get like down the list and I forget about you, I really apologize. Shoot me a message either on Instagram at Swimhack, or shoot me an email, swimhack@gmail.com. I really am interested in answering your questions, unless of course it's just like completely BS and troll or some sort of bullshit question. But if it's a legitimate question and I skip it, I promise you I'm not trying to skip over you. I only have a little bit of time, in a day, so I can't really go through everything. So, cold and snow, I'm guessing in Poland. All right. In Greece, what's up? My wife's family, my wife's father is Greek. He's actually second generation Greek. Grew up in Chicago, but he knows fluent Greek, and he is always embarrassed to talk Greek around us. He'll talk to his dad, who's in Greece still. So my wife is half Greek, half Hispanic, so I get the Greek side. So yes, greetings from Greece. How much is my max strict overhead press? I have not done overhead press in a long time, only because I don't see a big carryover for bench. I see, if anything, my shoulder health is dependent upon doing lighter dumbbell type stuff, some overhead pressing, but mostly strict, like in a machine, just so that I'm not getting out of the groove. I don't want to mess up any tendons or ligaments. I really don't want a shoulder injury. It's just hard to heal from. There's too much stuff going on in there. But my strictest, or my max overhead press that I've ever done was actually not for 1 rep. It was for 2, and I believe it was 455. I have a video of it somewhere. It's either on Instagram. Well, I know it's on Instagram definitely, but it may be on YouTube if you go back far enough. But I'm sure I'll get back. Just, you know, after, if I can nail this 700 in a meet, I'm going to go into kind of a mode of, I guess you can call it play mode, where I start playing around on social media a little bit, just to kind of, for fun. I mean, it's for entertainment purposes, but just to go and test out, you know, some of the weird stuff that I don't necessarily need for powerlifting progress, but that people are interested in. And of course, you know, I'm interested in to see, you know, what my overhead press is now. I'm sure at any given point in time, I could probably toss around 405 just for a couple of reps, just to you know, see where I'm at, but it's not a true max. What did I bench when I was 17, 18? Question earlier was what I benched when I was in 8th grade. I really didn't bench much. 200 was my max. I didn't really test it or anything. And then when I was 25, when I started getting back into lifting, it started at about 300 range. So I didn't really improve. I just was stronger because I was swimming and stuff. So my natural bench was already at 300 before I even knew it. I was at 400, 500, you know, in the next few years. But I didn't really care about bench press until I was like late 20s. What's up, David? Yes, 661. I will be going up to 683 next week, as long as everything works out. And I say next week, this week on Wednesday. Really excited about that 661. If you watched the recap, I definitely appreciate you guys tuning in for that. If you didn't, check it out. It's my last video, 661 for speed rep is what I called it. I went into the workout pretty nervous, as I'm going to go into the 683 workout pretty nervous, but that's a good thing. You know, if I'm not nervous, something's wrong. I need to check myself and figure out why I'm not either excited or nervous or something. But there's a medium ground that I want to be in. I don't want to be too nervous because it will distract me from the lift, and I don't want to be, you know, overexcited or overconfident. That's why I'm pretty methodical in my training. You're not going to see me getting too amped up before a lift. Now, after, I get pretty excited because a lot of that just comes to a head. And of course, especially with a good lift, I'm pretty excited and want to celebrate. Appreciate it, Stefan. Will you maybe press more than 700? Sela, you know, it's possible. I'm one to be very conservative with my attempts. I don't want to do it. I definitely don't want to mess up and open too high or take a shot too high. I definitely don't want to leave anything on the platform, but 700 is more important than going after like 722 or something. So you're definitely going to see a lift with the 705 on it. Will that be the 3rd attempt? Will that be a 2nd attempt? You know, we'll just have to see. As long as everything goes well, I would love for that to be a 2nd attempt. But let's face it, you know, if 683 doesn't move the way I want, I'm going to be pretty nervous going into the meet. I'm not going to want to take 705 on a 2nd attempt. I'm going to want to make sure that that's a solid warm up as a 3rd, or, you know, as a 3rd attempt, and then go into maybe a 4th attempt if I have some left in the tank. But it's a very strategic issue at the meet, because if I open at 630, 640, even 650, and then I go to 660 or 680, you know, I've got to think I've just lifted, you know, mid 600s for 3 reps, or more than 650 for 3 reps. My body gets tired. And so even if the strength was there, the attempts have to be almost perfect to get the perfect number for that particular day. And that's the strategy of it. There's nobody that I'm competing against. There's nobody really in the world that I'm competing against, especially in my weight class. But at that meet, it's just me. So and the only person at this weight to ever do this. So there's nobody I can ask. There's nobody I can really get solid advice from and say, hey, what did you do? Because even if it worked for them, doesn't mean it's going to work for me. So that's the nerve-wracking part. The strength, I think, will be there. In fact, I don't want to say I guarantee the strength will be there, but there's no reason for me to doubt that the strength will be there, that the strength won't be there for the meet, because this whole meet prep that's what it's for. It's to be able to do that. Will the attempts be there? Will I be able to warm up right? Will I stay in the groove? Will I be able to hit the speed that I need to hit? Will I not have too much time in between attempts? I mean, all those little factors that sometimes you won't be able to control, but we'll see. I would love to be able to go a lot more than 700, but let's be cautious first and let's just nail 700 and go from there. Shin splints, pains in your humerus while benching heavier. Well, if you have any pain in your legs, you're putting too much stress on your legs, obviously, in bench. I would look at what the issue is. Are you? I would assume you are setting up with your feet under the bench in order to get kind of a shin splint pain. I would maybe try moving your legs out a little bit. You're gonna probably have to lighten the weight up and see if that helps. You're probably putting way too much emphasis on your legs. You want them there for stability, but you don't want your legs to actually be pressing your body upward. You're going to get out of the groove. You're going to get your shoulders off. You're going to get your butt off the bench because of that, and your shoulders are going to get loose, and you're not going to have any stability. It's going to lose a lot of potential weight. Let's see. Favorite food? All you can eat Brazilian steakhouses and sushi. Lifter, for somebody who is an intermediate in bench, would I recommend benching more than once a week? Yes. I would start off with 2 to 3 times a week and assess from there. Volume is one of those things where it can be very personalized. Some people can handle more volume, some people can't. A lot of people will assume that you need to start with a lot of frequent benching or a lot of frequent squatting, a lot of frequent deadlifting, and a lot of volume as a beginner. That doesn't always, mean, it's not always the case. Of course, it really depends on what programming you're kind of doing. If you're doing linear or block or periodization or, and what your body responds to. I have, since the day I've started lifting in a serious way, I've always done a 4-day split. I've always done squats once. Sometimes I would do it twice, but I didn't get a lot of response out of it. I just was always sore. And that was even when I was squatting, really low for my weight. I just couldn't find that my legs recovered very fast. And so that, it was, of course, with deadlifts, my lower back would not recover fast enough. So that was once a week. And benching was my thing. So I think I was able to do a lot of weight. But because everybody else in the gym was doing less weight, I'd work out with them and it wouldn't work me out hard enough. So then I was able to do a second day, but I wouldn't do benching the second day necessarily. I would do some sort of accessory movement or dumbbells, flies, and, back, lat pull downs, things like that. I wouldn't go and do barbell bench more than once a week. I have been known to do it, but I've always found that once a week for me is fine. In fact, even sometimes less as I've gotten heavier. But for intermediate lifters, 2 to 3 times a week is probably a good start, and go from there and kind of assess everything. Let's see. Chuck D, first generation Italian American from Chicago. So it's really weird. I've got, I got the ancestry DNA stuff, and I did my first round of it. I don't know why I say first round. They changed from time to time, and it was like a lot of Scotch Irish, European, that kind of thing, and then some Scandinavian, some Spanish in me, and then it changed from like 12% Spanish, like conquistador type Spanish, to like 86% white boy, basically. So I'm like, what the hell? But either way, it's kind of funny to see, you know, where everything comes from. On my dad's side, the name is definitely like a royal name. So I'm always been curious. I haven't really looked into, you know, what my actual ancestry is for like the family, not just the area, but if I am connected to a royal family, that'd be kind of cool. But hopefully they're strong. Sean, I'm not sure I understand that question. Annie Reputili. Oh, I'm sorry, you got it down there. Okay. Real quick, workout master. I do not know Terry Freely. Any reputable reading material for powerlifting? Yeah, there are several. Actually, just go to Jailhouse Strong. That's Josh Bryant. You can check him out on YouTube. Check him out on Amazon. A lot of good reading there. I've read, you know, obviously being my coach, I've read his books. There are quite a number of books. Off the top of my head, I can't tell you. I normally just read them online. I'm not really a paperback reader, but I'll read articles and magazines and things like that. But definitely check out some of Josh's stuff. What's up in Italy? Zach, let's see. Would you complete your heavy bench day in a scenario where you're running on extremely low sleep? Right then and there, no. I can, before I even read anymore, I will not operate on low sleep. I know better. Not on my heavy bench day. It's too important to me. I will skip a day. I'll take a nap. I'll go in later if I have to, you know, or I'll put it off for another day. Typically, I won't skip. But when I say skip a day, I'll skip like if I'm supposed to go in on Monday, I'll just go, you know what? It's not going to happen today. And I'll go in on Wednesday or go in Tuesday and try to make it up. But yeah, basically with the rest of your question, same thing. And it happens. It's rare, but it happens where I'll do that. You know, I'll plan on going on, you know, on a Monday and I realize, oh my God, Monday's a holiday. We're going to be with family and I'll go in on a Sunday instead. Or I'll realize that today is just not going to be the day I'm going to be able to get into the gym because it's just so late and I've got a lot of stuff. And I really don't like to work out at night. I will if I have to, but I'll just put it off for the next day. Jay Weber, was I jacked when I swam? Well, jacked is a very individualized term. I don't know, Miss Swimhack, was I jacked when I swam?
What?
Was I jacked? Was I buff? Was I a big guy?
Not really. I mean, yes and no. You had big arms. That's about it.
So as a 180-pound guy, I was pretty jacked, right?
Yeah.
Okay. It's hard to say because like 180, 190 pounds is small, but I mean, I had a six pack, I was cut up, you know, I had low body fat. So I guess you could say, I wasn't like a big freaking guy, but with broad shoulders, I was bigger than most at that size. Or at that weight, I guess I should say.
Mm-hmm.
No, breaking the full meet 275, 308 bench records. Oh, I'm sorry, bench records. Yeah, it is, but honestly, it's a side thing. I mean, get 700, you pretty much have the full meet records right then and there. You got to go and do a full meet, but once you know, if I can hit 700, doing a full meet, I can go squat 600 and almost a token lift and nail Ted Arcidi's record, which was basically, in my mind, a token lift because he squatted, you know, 500, deadlifted 6 or 7 maybe, and then benched 650. So in my mind, those are token lifts compared to what I can do in a full meet. Eric John, what are my thoughts on Kirill? Well, he's definitely, I don't have any specific thoughts. He's the all-time world record holder, super heavyweight as well as all weight classes, 738 and a half. I think he's going to have to definitely step his game up because he's got Julius on his heels for sure. Until I break 700, I can't really be in that conversation. I would love to be, but I think, you know, he's still pretty young, but being young is not what it, I mean, a lot of people will say, you know, a lifter's young and he's already this good. Just wait till he gets to be 30. I mean, it could go the other way. You get older and you get tired. You don't want to do anything. That doesn't necessarily mean anything. Just like somebody could say, well, you know, by the time you're 40, you're pretty much, you know, not going to be as strong. Well, I'm 38. I started 4 years ago, so I'm a late bloomer, but yet here I am. So I don't go off of any statistics, any projected numbers. Just like if somebody goes, oh man, you did that 661, 700 should be easy. Doesn't mean jack shit to me. 700 is 700 at the meet. It doesn't mean anything. I could hit it tomorrow in training. Doesn't mean jack. It's going to give me the confidence, but the internet blowing up and saying I could do this at the meet doesn't mean anything to me. And that's where the methodical training methods that I have come in, because I don't go into training assuming, oh, this is a done deal. In fact, if I do that, it's normally detrimental, because I'm too confident and I lose something. I lose the edge. I like to be a little nervous, a little afraid, a little respectful of the weight before I go into it. If I'm not, just like the 628, that's why that moved that way, is because I didn't respect it the way I should have, and I immediately figured that out. Not that it crushed me, I just didn't move it as fast as it should have, and to make 661 that move that way. And I was extremely nervous going into the 661 after that 628. But it was necessary because the 628 set me up for success on that 661. So going into 683, that's more weight than I've ever moved, ever, in any capacity, raw or in a meet, in a training meet. You know, I've done it with slingshot and things like that, but it's still freaking a lot of weight. I'd be lying if I wasn't saying, you know, or if I was to say that I wasn't freaking nervous as hell. But that's going to set me up to do to make sure that I do every single thing that I possibly can from now, or actually from the time I found out 683 is going to be on the bar, until that day, to get it done. Just like once everything happens at training, I'll be doing everything I can to get it done at the meet. So the difference is the meet atmosphere adds so much more than I could ever do in a training. I can't duplicate a meet environment in a training lift, which is exciting, because if I can nail 683 in a training lift, it gives me that much more, knowing that on meet day I'm going to have all these extra tools at my disposal. And if I could just do exactly what I did at training, that's where the guarantee could be there. As long as, you know, I don't guarantee anything. I'm pretty superstitious, but you know, I'm excited. Let's just say the least. Let's see. Zach, I think you're referring to the question earlier about skipping a day, or if you're tired. I would probably not train anything, because if you train your back or you train your pecs, I mean, you've already trained, even though you're not training the main movement, you're gonna mess yourself up. So I would just push everything back and just hit it all as if if that day never happened, and just hit it the next chance you get. What's the most intense pre-workout I've ever used? You know, honestly, pre-workouts are, go back up, I skipped down too fast. Pre-workouts, I don't want a pre-workout to absolutely jack me up. I don't want to be, I'm trying to scroll back up to the question here. I don't want to be like extremely hyper on training. I want to feel the beta alanine. I want to feel that little tingle when I take it, but then I want that to kind of subside and just carry me through the rest of the workout. You know, the caffeine, the main stimulant, most of the time, I already drink a lot of caffeine as it is, so it takes a little bit extra to get me going. But I love the Animal Rage, because it is that very hardcore stimulant, but I don't take 2 scoops of that. I take 1 scoop of Fury, which is a more mellow, kind of get you through a longer workout. So I take that to get me through the longer workouts, but I also take a scoop of Rage to get me in the beginning, to get me all jacked up for that main lift. But as soon as the main lift over, typically that Rage kind of wears off and the Fury kicks in, and it holds me over. See. Hey Connor, can you keep it down, please? Thank you. Are you going for a world record if you hit 700 pounds? Which you, well, I mean, I am going for a world record by going for 700 pounds because there's weight classes. In the 275 weight class, the all-time world record is Jeremy Hornstra. He did that at 266 pounds. He did 675. I did attempt that at 266 a couple years ago, and I came up a little short. I got 661 and then did 677 and just didn't quite lock it out. And then last February as a 308 weight class, which I was 293 when I did that, I did 672 and came up a little short of 702. 701 is the all-time world record from Scott Middleton, and he did, I think it was like 10 years ago or something like that. He did that. And so doing 702 would put me over 701. And that will be a world record if I do anything over 701. But I think you're referring to, am I going to go for the 738 record? I don't see why I wouldn't. But at this point, it's a little, let's get through 7 first. Big fan of Coca-Cola. I'm actually a Pepsi person. I mean, I'll drink the heck out of Coca-Cola. My wife, in fact, there you go. But I'm drinking sweet tea. I'm Pepsi person because I like the sweetness. But Coke, Pepsi, whatever. Role of giant calves in achieving a 700 bench. Calves, because I have them, I think they're overrated. I think because if you don't have them, you're definitely wanting them. So you want to have what you don't have. So definitely overrated bench. I could put my legs up and still get a pretty decent bench. Struggle on lower stuff. Wake up, true maxes, get mad at myself for this. I would say dips are better than push-ups, only because I can do heavy dips and I get a lot of response out of them. Push-ups, I'm not heavy enough, and I can sit there and do push-ups all day long, so they really don't do much. If you can add weight to your dips, definitely do weight, but do good form. I don't want you hurting yourself because weighted dips, especially if you're a bigger guy. I hear a lot of big guys that are, let's say, 250 and above that struggle with weighted dips because it's 250 pounds of weight that you're doing with just body weight. Obviously you add weight, it exponentially makes it a little bit harder. Yes, I would recommend speed benching. Speed benching allows you to train that fast twitch muscle fiber, which explosiveness is a very crucial, integral part of being able to bench big weight, because the faster you can move the weight, the faster you can obviously get out from underneath it. You don't want to be in, it's not bodybuilding, in powerlifting, it's strength. You want to move the weight as quickly as possible, as efficiently as possible, and get out the hell out from underneath it. I'm not here to do pause reps for 15, 20 seconds or do, a 15, 30 second rep where it takes me 5 second negatives. That's all stuff that's great at the beginning of the season when I'm training certain specifics. But at the end of the season, I want to move the freaking weight quickly and get out from underneath it. Speed bench allows me to fire off with specificity, like actually moving the hell out of the weight as fast as I possibly can, trains my body that anytime I'm under kind of any load to move it fast. Hey, Kayla, come here.
Yeah.
Time out for a parenting break. Hey, I'm doing a live. Can you keep him quiet? Because he's getting a little loud, and you are too. Thank you. All right, we're back. 3 kiddos. Sometimes they get the best of you. Sometimes you get the best of them. Let's see. After all my years of lifting, I've been favoring powerlifting. Reason lies, I don't know how much I don't know. I don't understand the deload or 505, how to get better at my lifts. How do I start books? That's a good question. There is a lot of information out there. Asking questions, I think, would be your best bet. You just did it, basically. Here, I'm going to kind of do a real quick rundown. So a deload is where you are allowing your body, it's a period of time. I do mine 1 week every 4th week. So that 4th week is a deload for me. Some people do it every 6 weeks, 8 weeks. Some people wait 12 weeks. Some people even deload once a week, where they kind of do like 4 days, and then their off days are considering them deloads, where they still go to the gym. I don't like that method, but different strokes for different folks. Basically, a deload is an active week where you still go into the gym, you still do your sets and your reps, but you're backing off the weight. You're not, it'd be like, in a very, very oversimplified form, let's say your average bench day, and this is very simplified because I typically do like 5 sets of accessories, speed bench, main set, warm-ups, all that stuff. So let's just say you have one main set of 100 pounds on bench normally. And then you're going up by 5 pounds. But let's just use 100 pounds as an example. And then you go and do 50 pounds on dumbbell flies, like 50 pounds each hand, and then you do tricep rope for like 50 pounds. So that would be your heavy week. Your deload week would maybe be 65 pounds on bench for like 3 sets of 3, just enough to get in there, feel it, and get out. You're not taxing the body. And then on your 50-pound dumbbells, you might do 25 or 30 pound, maybe 40, but you want to half it, just to kind of feel the weight, but not too much. You don't want to be in there like really easy, but you definitely want to break a sweat. And you do maybe 8 reps, 3 sets of 8, something like that for your accessory work. And then like triceps would be the same thing. Instead of 50 pounds on the rope, do 40 pounds on the rope or 35 pounds on the rope. You're still doing the same stuff. You're going into the gym, you're getting out of the house, you're going in, you're actually doing your same warm-ups, your same cool downs, whatever you normally do. I normally don't take a pre-workout on the deload just so I get my body reset from all the stimulants. But that's kind of easy, real quick and dirty what a deload week is. 5x5 is basically just a, well, just look it up, honestly. It'll give you all the details. But 5x5 is a strength method where you're basically five sets of 5. And I did that for a long time, and it works well. But there's a limit to every kind of, there's a plateau or a limit to every strength program out there where you get to a point where you have to change something up. You have to change the stimulus to your body. But with most people getting into powerlifting, you can pretty much follow just about any program. Say that carefully because you want to follow a respectable one and get some results out of it. But as far as like doing meets, that's another question. I may be reading too far into it, but I know a lot of people have questions about meets. Just train for one, enter one, and have fun with it. Don't get a certain number before you go into the meet. Don't expect to put up a 315 squat because that's what everybody else is doing. Do your thing. Nobody laughs at anybody at powerlifting meets. It's all friendly. It's all helpful. I wouldn't just go do a powerlifting meet tomorrow, but train 3 months and try one and see what you like. Fail. Who cares? Go in and bomb out and then realize, oh, I should have done this, or this is an attempt that I shouldn't have taken, and learn from it. Because my first meet, I did like a, I laugh at it, but I learn from it, and I learn from every meet I do. But you can't be perfect going into a powerlifting meet. You don't want to go into your first powerlifting meet knowing it all, because you're going to look like an idiot because nobody knows it all. So, good luck. Daniel Book, you retracted your message. How am I supposed to answer your questions if you retract them? Stressing me out, man. I don't need stress before my next bench day. I do not bench more than my squat right now. My squat is officially 705, but hopefully we can change that soon. At what body weight did I start, and how long did it take to get to 275 pounds? I started technically powerlifting at 275 because I didn't enter my first meet until I was 275. So when I was 240 is when I kind of started lifting heavy. It didn't take very long at all, maybe 6 months to get to 275. And all that was just the stimulus of lifting more often, because I wasn't lifting really at all. And then lifting heavier and heavier and heavier, kind of progressing, and eating more. Very simple. Nero Rush. Pretty significant imbalance on your bench. Right scapula can't retract as much as your left. You wind up shifting. Shoot me an email with that video or a DM, because I obviously, in the middle of the questions, I can't just go to a video. If you're still on here, Nero Rush 23, shoot me a video. I'd like to see it. I'm curious though, when you send it to me, send me why either you can't retract your scapula or why you think you can't. I don't know if it's an injury or what, but you know, if it's something that's actually physically preventing you from retracting your scapula, that's a whole different approach. But if you are just thinking you can't do it, and maybe there's some sort of exercise we can do, or stretches, warm-ups, things like that. Of course, I've had a lot of lifters, and I'm not saying this is the case, but I've had a lot of lifters email me or ask me questions that the question really isn't valid, because what they're doing is not what they're saying they think they're doing. That's where, you know, I can come in and look at the video and say, hey, this is actually what you're doing. You're not thinking that you're thinking that you're setting up this way, but you're actually not. And then when I see it and I tell them to them, you know, tell it to them, it clicks. But you know, we'll see. Daniel, where do I see myself in 3 years? Thanks, I appreciate that. Following along. 3 years. Who knows? Honestly, I have no clue. And this is not really like me, because I'm so far up in the game right now. Like, what's next? You know, if I go 705 at the meet and it's a grinder, I may be done. I don't know. It's really weird. Like, I'm not saying I'll be done, but how much higher do I really want to go? Like, do I want the all-time world record? I don't know. Like, I'm sure it just like, you know, with the 2100, I didn't know, you know, I wanted to get 2100. Once I got it, could care less if I go 2105. I don't have any motivation to do that. Now that's because I'm obviously wanting to go for 700 bench. So I don't know, we'll see. I'm just gonna go and do whatever is fun and exciting for me and what makes me happy. So stay tuned, I'm not really sure. What's up, universe? In Pakistan, I'm gonna assume that it's not snowing over there. Can you tell me what I can do? I've been doing lots of rowing and chin-ups. Yes, Nero, to answer your question, I can't really tell you. I can't analyze your lift just because I haven't seen the video. Like I said, shoot me an email, swimhack@gmail.com, or a DM at swimhack on Instagram. And that goes for anybody that has specific questions. I'd be happy. In fact, I've seen a couple of the questions rolling in over here on my phone. I'll be happy to answer them for you, you know, off the live, because it's specific. Favorite Little Kiki song? Isn't Little Kiki, don't they? You wouldn't know. I'm just bouncing. I'm asking you because it makes for a better video. Look it up.
Swimhack listens to the Beach Boys and Frank Sinatra and
Presidential Flow, I want to say, is Little Kiki. Yeah. I like a lot of the collabs that they do. Man, you guys are rolling these questions in fast. I can't keep up.
Old man.
Just call me an old man. You called me an old man last night.
Shut up.
Keep it PG. Do I feel that I could bench more with a wider grip? You're doing what I would consider a close grip. Either way, strength is beyond the present. Appreciate it, Chris. I'm sure I could, but I don't like the risk of a wider grip. It's just not worth it to me because I've yet to have any pec issues. Shoulder issues are a very, very minimum. Injuries are at a minimum. And most benchers that are at my level have had some serious injuries. I count myself pretty lucky, but I also think that the closer grip has a lot to do with that. When I feel something, I am able to adjust it or get out from underneath it without my pecs being in too much of a precarious situation. So would I want to bench more wider? Probably not. I don't think I'll ever want to take that risk. Even if it gave me 30 more pounds, if it meant that I was going to be injuring myself every 6 months, would it be worth it? I don't know. That's a tough question, but I'd have to take a gamble. What if it didn't give me 30 pounds? Then I'm injured and I'm done. So honestly, I think the triceps have to be bulletproof. Shoulders have to be on point to be able to do a piston type bench with close grip. But if you can do that, you could stay a lot tighter. I mean, I don't have a problem with explosion. You know, if I had issues from the bottom of my bench where as I'm coming off my chest, if I didn't have any explosion, either I'm working with too much extra weight that I don't need to be under at that particular point in time, or I need to work on speed bench or some dead press or some explosive work. But as long as I can fire it off my chest, my triceps will carry it through every single time. That's not the case with most people, because most people's triceps are their weak point. Their lockout is their weak point. So close grip is almost like a double whammy for them. So yes, my bench strategy and technique is definitely an anomaly, but it's something that I've found, you know, a few years back. You know, I was benching in the 600s with a wider grip. I just prefer going closer, and I've been able to get a lot further along progress-wise and a lot faster with a close grip. So it's definitely something I'm not looking to change up. Why fix something that's not broken? So appreciate it, Martin. Rest time, 72 hours. Rest time is based on what you're doing. I take between my bench days my heavy bench days, it's a full 160 hours because it's literally one time a week that I bench heavy. But I will wait a minimum of 48 hours before doing the same muscle group again. That's just a steadfast rule. I will not go back-to-back muscle groups for any reason, because if you can't recover, there's no point in working out. Working out is just the first step. It's just like if you are gonna go and do heavy bench day, but then the next day you're gonna go do heavy bench day. What the freaking point of that? You know, your muscles are not recovered. You're going to hurt yourself that way. Just like squatting 2 days in a row is typically not a good thing, you know, especially if you're going heavy. My total is 2,100. Height and weight, I'm sitting around I think it was 294 this morning. It's a little heavier than normal, but I'm just piling down the food too. And I'm 6'1". I think I covered that. Grip width. I don't do a lot of seated military presses. Not now anyways. I have. And those were great for building some shoulder bulk. I don't want a lot of shoulder bulk because I don't want impingements. Not necessarily tendon or joint impingements, but actual muscular impingements where my shoulders are so freaking broad or so wide. When I'm doing close grip, I can't move the bar path the way I want it to. So I have to be real careful about having my shoulders be too strong, because it can actually, it actually hurts the progress in the bench. You want everything to be pretty, you don't want your back super strong and your pecs weak, or your pecs super strong and your back weak. You want to keep everything pretty balanced. 72 hours should be enough rest, yes. But case by case. Try it, and if it's not, then change something up. Why is this? Wish I could open up the friggin' the chat, because I can't see all the questions at one time. Let's see. Let me zoom it down. All right, let's see. Cambodian powerlifter, what's up, man? Thoughts on benching with wing scapula? Thought that since birth it doesn't bother me till near max, especially with pause bench. My wing scapula side moves out of place when retracting shoulder blades. Not any specific thoughts. It sounds like you're just gonna have to find what works for you. I know with some guys that have certain issues, there's not a one-size-fits-all. You just have to find something. You find a groove. You find a way to be on the bench, a way to set up that works for you, and just keep doing that. Find something that gives you progress without injury or making anything worse, and being able to still see the progress. That's key. There's not a, especially without seeing it and being hands-on, there's really almost nothing that I can say that will fix anything like that. And I haven't had any issues personally, so it's hard to speak from that point of view. Appreciate it, Sean. See you later. Who knows 464? Yeah, the old videos of me at a combine. I actually in 2010 tried out for the NFL combine, free agent combine, did pretty well. Picked up an agent, started playing some semi-pro football, getting some game film, trying to make the league, trying to actually walk on with the Carolina Panthers specifically. And at the end of the day, long story short, I was too old. So 30 years old, they're not looking to bring on a lot of free agents that are 30 years old, regardless of if you played somewhere or not. So it's kind of an end into that dream, but it was kind of a cool thought. But then that kind of led into powerlifting, because I'm like, what the hell am I going to do with 300 pounds of body weight? I mean, this is, I either stop lifting or I go do something. And so I went into powerlifting, and here we are. It took me, well, technically it took me about 10 years to press 300K. Appreciate it, Zach. Can hypnosis help bench? I'm sure it can. I haven't personally used it. I use a form of meditation, if you will. I wouldn't go as far as saying it's true meditation, because I'm not, I don't, lack of a better way to describe it. When you see me doing my recaps, you'll notice that I get real quiet before, and I close my eyes. I'm not even really picturing. A lot of people will use visualization. That doesn't work for me as well. I've tried it, and I think it works great for some people. I think my visualization happens a lot of other places, not right before I bench. It happens when I'm going to sleep at night. It happens when I'm driving the car. It happens when I'm just sitting around thinking about things, watching other people's videos, watching old videos of mine. I'm visualizing the failure and success of meet day, of the next training lift. And that alone is my visualization, which puts me into a meditation type state, or hypnosis almost, where it's kind of a daydream for me, where I'm putting myself in position to feel what it's like to do the lift and all the different scenarios that can come out of that. And that builds nerves, that builds character, that builds confidence. I mean, a whole bunch of things. But don't discount any tool that you can possibly use to get to your next goal. Some of them sound funny, some of them may be just hogwash or witchcraft type crap. If it works, who cares? If freaking, you know, if eating baby powder before you lift does something for you, then freaking do it. You know, it's weird, but everybody's got their own little things that they do, idiosyncrasies, and I have mine. For example, I would get my hair cut, like fresh cut, before every heavy bench day nowadays, and I'll do it before the next Wednesday, and I'll do it before the meet. I like to have the same meal the night before. I like to have the same meal going into the heavy bench day, chicken and waffles. You know, I post up on little superstitions, just little stupid stuff that really, it doesn't mean much to anybody else, but to me, it's almost part of the process. It's part of, hey, this worked last time, do it now, and make one less thing to worry about. Whatever works, freaking do it. That's at the end of the day, that's what I'm gonna go for. I've never thought of sumo wrestling. I'm pretty sure I'd be the little guy in that one. Competition is February 9th, Kingwood, Texas, Nathaniel Center. Starts at 10:30 a.m. I'll probably be on the platform doing my bench at about noon, I would guess. Tips on increasing your squat. Squat more, do squat accessories. Do walking lunges, do leg press. Make sure you pause squat. That's a good thing to do for squats. I'm not sure if you're doing high bar or low bar, but frequency is a good thing for squatting. I went over kind of why I used a close grip earlier. Maybe just browse back up after the live, but basically it's just a personal preference. Lifetime goal for bench, 700 plus. Is she literally going to the pantry every 5 seconds getting food? Like father, like daughter.
They're having like a tea party with his tigers
at
the front door.
Okay. Okay, so my warm-up towards the top set is always pretty much the same. The only thing that changes is maybe the actual weight on my last few singles. I always do the bar, and this is when I touch the weight. There's a lot of stuff I do before, like PVC rollouts, bands, put Ambisol, I'm sorry, Ambisol, or Absorbine Junior, like muscle rub on me, arm circles, a lot of that stuff to get even going. That's like 30, 45 minutes before I even touch the bar. Do the bar for maybe 10, 15 reps, 135 for maybe 8 reps, 225 for 5 to 8 reps, 315, I do 1 racket, do 3 fast. Then I do 405 maybe for 1 or 2 speed reps. Then I jump straight to 495 for 1 speed rep. And I mean speed rep. It's got to be like I'm literally throwing it through the freaking roof. And that's firing up the central nervous system to feel a little heavier weight. Plus it's engaging those fast twitch muscle fibers. Then I typically go straight to 585. And then I start from that way, singles from that point, obviously. And then it depends on what my top set is. I may take something in between, or like 628 and then go 661, or somewhere in there. That's a typical. But yes, warm-ups are not meant to be taxing. They're warm-ups. You want to do the least amount that you possibly can do in order to get to your working set. You don't want to be burned out from your warm-ups. I have tried strongman. I won a strongman. No, I didn't win. I won my weight class, but I got 3rd overall back in 2012, and it is a whole nother sport. It is really, really tough. No, I don't think you're going to see me in strongman because it takes so much time. It's so many different disciplines, so many different ways that you have to be stronger, and I just don't care. I really don't. I don't get off on having the. I honestly, it's cool, don't get me wrong, to be the strongest bencher on the planet is a really cool title, but I don't hang my hat on that. It's short-lived. You're not going to hold on to it forever. Being the strongest person on the planet, yes, absolutely, would be a very cool title, but there's so many other things that I hold valuable that if I'm going to go into a sport, I'm going to want to be the best ultimately in some form or fashion. I don't want another sport. I just don't care that much about strongman. It's fun to watch, but I really don't care much about it other than that. Thoughts on slingshot? Wonderful tool from Mark Bell. You can definitely get some good overloads with the slingshot, either for extra reps or heavier weight that you normally can't handle. Body weight will probably be right around where it's at now, 290 to 295. 531, it's a good program. Just like with any of them, they're all pretty decent, and you can get progress out of all of them to some degree. It's when it comes to the specificity and individualization, everybody's a little different, and that's where customized stuff really comes into play. I squatted more to get my squat stronger. Do I wear different shoes for squat and deadlift? Yes, I wear Adidas 2.0 heeled shoes for squat and bench because I keep them on. And deadlift, I like to actually deadlift in socks, but on the platform I have to have a slipper on, so I wear like a deadlift slipper. I used to just do like Converse, but I ended up doing barefoot, so. Any tips for tennis elbow? Yeah, the best thing to do is to back off. If you can't back off, ice and heat, light massage, wearing elbow sleeves helps. Glucosamine, conjoined MSM, some sort of joint supplement, maybe with some hyaluronic acid, has always helped me. But honestly, if you can back off, do that. That is the only way that I know for a fact will get rid of tennis elbow tendonitis. You know, it nagged me for a long time until I finally got it under control, basically backing off in the middle of or after a training cycle. And everything that I'm telling you about now, I do that anyways to prevent it. So ice and heat after workouts. If I start feeling my elbows a little bit, I may change up the angle of attack with tricep rope or monastery extensions or dumbbells. Stop. Talk to mom. So,
Caller, come here. here.
Let's see, not really. There's just shoes specifically made for squatting that are a little higher in the back. Yeah, those are the heeled squat shoes. I don't have any thoughts on Jason Blaha. I know who he is now. I've talked to a few people, just various people that have asked if I know him or what are my thoughts on him. I've heard, you know, just kind of what he does, but that's it. I don't really care much else. He's like, to me, just some random guy. I've never met him. He's not even an acquaintance. I've never even seen his face. So I don't know. It sounds like a lot of people know who he is, though. Possible to be 225, 5'11" naturally? Yeah. Why wouldn't it be? I was 6'1", 275, 300 natural. I benched 600 natural. Of course it's possible. Hell, you could be 400 pounds and be 4'11" and be natural. You could be natural naturally. This is the thing, and sorry if I'm using your question, but I'm going to go ahead and segue into this. I'm not pointing you out for any reason, but I get asked this question every single day. Drugs, steroids, how much, this, that, the other. Stop. It's such a crap question because, believe it or not, I bench press 600 pounds, 100% raw. If you are looking to put any type of drug into your system, for one, understand what the hell the drug is. Understand how much you need to take. And for God's sakes, get a doctor to at least check you out. Get your blood pressure, get some blood work, cholesterol levels, your history, your genetics. Because if you start injecting some random shit into your body, you're probably going to die if you have something wrong with you already. If you have cancer right now and you don't know it, you're going to exacerbate it. So the questions about this, I'm assuming are from kids, but I get them from adults too. I get 50-year-old men who ask me, hey, I'm benching 315. If I take trend, can I get to 365? I don't freaking know. I've seen guys that are on 4 grams, which I think is stupid as hell, on 4 grams of testosterone, which is, I would think, enough to kill a horse, but obviously it doesn't, that have a 405-pound bench. But I also see guys who can bench press 700 pounds that are completely natural, or 500 pounds that are completely natural, or that are running only TRT. And yeah, you can say all day long that they're lying, but the fact is, they're not. And so if you want to have that argument, there are or they're not on drugs, whatever. Assume that, let's just say they're not. Then how do you explain that? So the shortcut method is a question that I get, and this is with all questions, but it's specifically because of this question, naturally. I mean, yes, you can do almost anything naturally. Is it going to be harder? Absolutely. I think it's going to be easier if you have 100% great genetics and you take something. Sure, you're going to have an edge. If you have shit genetics, you can't take something and fix your genetics. If you have shit drugs and you have horrible genetics, now you have a horrible connection or combination. If you have shit drugs but great genetics, now you just sidetracked yourself and now you're going backwards because you have health issues because you're injecting yourself with some sort of shit from the street. So the first question you should ask is, what can I do without drugs and get as far as you possibly can with that? And you'll know because you'll be at the peak. You'll be on a world stage with that level. You're going to be then trying to figure out, okay, I've been doing this for 10 years. I can't get past whatever it is. I've done every single program I can think of. I've talked to every single expert I've thought of, can think of. I've run all these different scenarios. I eat right. I sleep right. I do all these things. The only thing that I haven't done yet is looked at drugs. And let's just call it what they are, drugs. Either it be TRT or straight up going all out and being a freaking steroid junkie, whatever. If you've done every single thing other than that, then start talking about it. Don't let that be one of the first things you do, because then you just totally, let's say you're 20 years old, you're benching 315 and your goal is to bench 500. You still got several years of natural testosterone in your body. I mean, you've got 30, 35 years old before it even starts decreasing. Why not harness that it's because you're being impatient. Let's face it. I never had that issue because I could give a shit what I benched when I was in my 20s. My testosterone was freaking super high, and it's always been really, really high. I noticed it got low, and that's what prompted me to go and say, hey, something's not right. It's been like this for, I don't even know how long it was, 6 months. I was still competing. I did a meet, and I was just like, I don't want to go as far as saying I feel depressed, but I definitely didn't feel myself. I was not happy, and I'm normally happy-go-lucky. There was no reason to stress out, and things would happen, and I would react in a different way. And I was talking to a training partner. I said, hey, you know, this is kind of what's going on in my life. What do you think? You know, it's embarrassing for me to even mention this kind of stuff. He's like, dude, you probably, I mean, what, you're 34, 35 now? Maybe you got low T. I'm like, come on, man, that's the stupid shit they talk about on TV. That's when you're like 65 years old and they're talking about low T, take Viagra, take this shit like that, whatever, on TV. You don't think it's you. And so I went, all right, whatever. I hate needles. I don't want to go get blood tests or whatever. I went and talked to a doctor. Sure enough, they said, well, here's what I'm thinking. It's up to you what you want to do. Have it tested. Boom, you got low T. I'm already 36 years old at that point. Of course, that's the normal thing at that level. You start kind of getting lower. And there's health risks associated. But not to get too far off on a tangent, but yes, it's absolutely 100% guaranteed, and I will put a stamp of approval on that, possible to get a 225 at 5'11" naturally. That's stupid easy. Like, if you're not that, I would be concerned. Now, if you're 180 right now, that's 45 pounds, big deal. You just eat a little bit more, add a couple of portions to your meals every day, and you know, don't make yourself sick eating, but don't eat junk food either. Like, don't just sit there and eat McDonald's every day. But you want to have some extra calories in your diet. Give yourself 6 months to a year and see where you're at. Seriously. Lift heavy too, that's gonna help. And, well, not to call you out, Gladiator King, but yes, it is possible to be 225, 5'11" naturally and still be like 10% body fat. It just depends on what you eat. It's your diet. You may, you know, a lot of people will bulk up, kind of a dirty bulk. I've never really been into that, but if you want to do that, that's going to put on some extra pounds for sure, but you still got to shred that down. So it's a constant ebb and flow where you gain 20 pounds, then you lose 10, gain 20, lose 10. Why not just gain 10 lean pounds? It takes longer, but you'll look better. You know, you'll be shredded basically. No, you're definitely not going to see a powerlifter deadlift in squat shoes. It's just a weird, you want to keep your heels as close to the ground as possible for the most part. I'm sure it's happened, but it's weird. New fan, appreciate it, Bear. Should bar path be straight up and down, slightly curved, and wide as the path? Once again, personal preference. I like mine to be almost straight up and down. The rotation of my shoulders and the way that I set up on the bench with my scapula retracted and at a slight decline, the bar path is going to be at a slight arc. But being under it, it's moving straight up and down. That's what I'm perceiving. That's what I'm going for. That's the intent. Now, does it actually move that way?